It is the Riot Podcast, Tuesday, June 6th edition. We're going to start off the program the way we so often do with some beauty bonus content.
Love beauty.
Yeah, who doesn't? I've got the hottest new beauty trend, and it is Traptox.
Traptox.
You get Botox into your traps.
So essentially just like making them smaller, what?
Yeah, I don't even understand. I guess, as a beauty expert as I am, I should know more about how Botox works because although it's an injection, it actually, from some of the pictures I'm seeing here of women that have done this, it kind of slims down your neckline and, instead of your shoulders being a little more triangular, you could say, it kind of gives them more of a curvature to them. From your neck to your shoulder, it's like a nice curve situation.
So I think,
does that make sense? I mean, you can see the pictures too.
Yeah.
How would you describe it?
Yeah, it just makes your traps smaller.
Yeah, right. It shrinks down the traps.
My question with this is, when you think about body types, because obviously the first thing that we would pick to change about ourselves wouldn't be our traps, probably. But these women obviously,
and if anything for us, we'd make them bigger.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't make them smaller.
Yeah.
But what do you think is like the worst body type look? Because I don't think
What kind of question are you asking me right now? What kind of question?
Like cornering you? Am I cornering you?
I'm not going to answer that.
You should answer it. There's a lot of different body types.
I'm going to make somebody feel bad.
Do you know the
as
different...
if they think my opinion's important.
How about this? Do you know the different body types? Like, do you know what you are? You a pear?
Oh. Some people have described me as a melted candle. Does that count?
A melted candle? I never heard that one before.
No, I have a very unique body type.
The melted candle. Do you know all the different ones? There's like a pear and a par, all those ones.
Pear is hourglass, one of them.
Hourglass is one of them. Yeah.
What are the other options? I guess I don't know.
The different ones that we've got: the triangle, the inverted triangle, the rectangle, the oval, the hourglass are the main ones.
So which one do you think I am?
You are probably
hourglass.
It's pretty much what it is we can measure and find out.
Ooh,
so we take a tape measure.
Good content.
Yeah, because I have one of my gal friends the other night. We had a party at her place, and she was measuring everybody and telling them what they were.
Yeah,
which was very humbling.
So you know what you are.
Yeah, I know what I am.
Yeah, what are you?
So I am.
We're pretty similar, right?
Yeah, we're pretty similar. I don't know what it's called because there's I know what these ones are, but I don't know which one of these is what I am. Because I wasn't quite hourglass. I was the one where my butt was a little bit bigger than my chest.
Ooh.
So I think I'm a pear. I think that's what that's called.
Okay.
I think I'm a pear. I think I was almost an hourglass, but I need to broaden my chest a little bit more before I can be an hourglass.
Yeah.
But yeah, so essentially you just measure out your chest right here, your bust. I guess that would be right. Your waist, and then around your butt.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on how those stack up to each other, if you have a wider hips, then you do chest, then you're a pear. If you have a tight stomach, and then these are both wide, then you're an hourglass, all along that line.
Well, if you're more of a pear, I'm probably more of a long neck gourd, like a decorative gourd that you would see at the Thanksgiving in the Horn of Plenty. That's
the thing that never gets eaten. It's just in there for complete decoration.
I don't even know if it's edible.
I don't know if it is either, but
it serves no helpful purpose.
But it's there for Thanksgiving because it has to be there.
Yeah,
because it's colorful.
Somebody's growing them.
Yeah, I would say. I think that's a pretty good one. I think probably the rectangle.
Yeah,
I don't know though.
Standard.
I think you could be a pear.
You think I'm a pear?
I think you're probably a pear if I had to guess.
That's
just based off of looks.
That's not a bad one, right?
I think just based off of looks. Which I think in this one is considered a triangle, I think is what they're calling it. Probably a triangle. But I think, obviously, my preferred is the hourglass.
Of course. That's the ideal.
That's
the
hard to attain.
It is. Yeah.
But I think
we'll get there.
If you just, as long as your traps aren't too big, that could ruin the whole. If you're an hourglass with big traps, then
it throws the whole.
You might as well not
off.
even be an hourglass with those big things.
Yeah.
No, I think it's wild that the whole long neck part of this too.
Yeah.
That they want a long neck.
Because we just in a recent podcast intro, doing more of this bonus content, we discussed how I wish I had a shorter neck. So, and then I'm seeing these women that are engaging in trap Botox injections, making their necks look longer. And so solutions-oriented guy, what if I and a lady just had a neck transplant?
A neck switcheroo.
It's a win-win.
Yeah.
I get a shorter neck. I stop looking like a giraffe, and you get a nice, long, beautiful, slender neck. If it's hairless and paired with your nice traps, it probably
look good.
Probably look a lot better.
See, because
on you than me.
And then when I look at these photos, like some of them you can't really tell, but there's two of them, 2 of the 3 photos that they have the before and afters. I think it's a pretty noticeable change, and I do think it looks better.
It does look better. I think it looks marginally better. We didn't mention that it's like $1,000 an injection or whatever, at least.
Oh yeah.
So is it that
worth
much? That much better?
I don't know if it's for every how long?
Well, they say the best thing to do, at least according to one person, is doing it every 3 months.
But that's what they say about all Botox, and you don't have to do that.
It creates muscle atrophy, which sounds bad to me, but it creates a beautiful aesthetic outcome if you do it every 3 months and atrophy your muscles.
Yeah, that's what they want you to pay as much money as possible. So the same thing with like the preventative Botox that you can get in your face. They're like, come back every 2 months. Every week you should get another shot.
Yeah.
But realistically, if you do it like once every now and then, you probably be good.
Probably be good, especially when it's your traps. And you know who's paying attention to their traps? I'm going to say probably not a lot of people.
But I'll tell you this much. If you're going to get it done, you should get it done right before the summertime.
It makes sense.
You want to wear like the strapless dresses and things like that. It is noticeable.
If your traps are too big, the straps slide right off. I have to imagine.
Yes.
I don't have experience with that, but you don't want to have too much of a slope for that.
I mean, if you go to the gym, you'll see some girls with some traps rolling. This honestly is impressive.
This is my favorite quote from this group of people, this group of women that have engaged in trap talks. One says, "I saw a photo of myself with a off-the-shoulder top, and I thought, whoa, my traps are wild. And then I began to worry, how long have I looked this way? Have people noticed and just never said anything out of kindness?
No.
Nobody's noticed your traps are wild in your eyes.
No, not at all. Like, that's the wild thing, too, is everyone thinks that people are paying way more attention than they are. It's crazy. Like, if my traps were looking big, if I had been hitting the gym for like 5 years, and my traps just got huge, my friends would still never say anything.
Of course not.
Whether they looked wildly different or not. Nobody notices. Nobody knows.
I mean, if you're a beautiful woman, then people are going to notice other parts of your beauty before your traps, whether they're good or bad, a part of you. And if you're not a beautiful woman, then people are probably going to notice other parts of you that maybe you're not as proud of before they notice your traps.
Yeah,
It's really the last on the list.
No one is
near the
going
bottom
for the traps. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a beauty trend. We spent way too long on this.
Way too long.
All right.
Today, the podcast, we got some good stuff.
Uh-huh.
Married men making big mistakes, texting during weddings, things like that. Lots of fun stuff.
Yeah. And tomorrow's Would You Rather Wednesday. The question is, I'll give you the brief version. Would you rather have perfect driving conditions for the rest of your life or never have to wait in line for anything? 8772 Radio U, or leave it in the comments, and we'll catch you tomorrow.
See you guys.
Add a little riot to your Instagram feed. Follow @RadioU Official. The Riot. Radio U.
Check this out, Isaiah. I just sent it to you. The Apocalypse Super Truck.
Sounds cool.
Sounds cool. Take a look at it. It is $160 grand to get one of these, but they are for sale. It's literally a truck from a company called Apocalypse Manufacturing based out of Florida. And this thing is meant to take you through the apocalypse in style. Say things are about to get serious. Things are about to go down. If you got the Apocalypse Super Truck, you got nothing to worry about, baby.
But like in what scenario? Like what kind of an apocalypse are we talking about? Are we talking about like a hurricane?
Actually, this might not be bad in a hurricane. I don't know.
But also, you're going to get in your car during a hurricane? That seems kind of dangerous.
If your car's an Apocalypse Super Truck, then maybe so. I'll tell you that it definitely looks like the type of thing that if there was some kind of like riots or like zombie invasion, zombie horde that you'd have to mow through, this thing could do that for you. True 4x4. It's got, I mean, it really looks like a just wildly tricked out Jeep, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It is, let me tell you some of the features. This is how they refer to it. a medieval barbaric design.
It is pretty barbaric.
That's what I look for in a vehicle. Is I want it to be barbaric more than anything. They say it's impenetrable to external forces, and it has the ability to ramp launch 10 feet off the ground. So it's basically a monster truck.
And who is using this? Like, who needs this in their life?
Who needs
No one.
Who needs any number of vehicles that we currently make in the United States? But would you not? You'd strike fear into the hearts of soccer moms everywhere if you pulled up to the Kroger in this.
I mean, if you're driving this, you're just a jerk, obviously.
You think you're a jerk?
Obviously. What do you mean? What kind of question is that?
You're not a jerk. You care about the safety of you and your loved ones.
If you're driving this, you're a jerk for sure.
You're just like to be prepared.
Like, why would you need that? For what?
In case things go down.
What are you talking about? Go down? Like if we just so happen to find ourselves in the middle of like World War VII, and all of a sudden people are trying to shoot at our cars.
Yeah.
I think that
you never know. You never know. This is from Florida. They've lived through it.
Lived through what?
Everything.
What is this they you keep on talking about? If things go down,
you
if
never
we go
know.
through it,
You never
there's
know.
nothing that my truck out there or your car, like in a zombie apocalypse, there's no one that can withstand.
Your car couldn't handle a slightly icy parking lot.
What are you talking about?
This thing would bash through the tree that that screwed up the grill of your truck.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying. I think if you're in any normal vehicle, you're gonna be able to withstand just about anything that you're gonna go through.
And besides
and
that,
a typical day-to-day person.
Listen, besides it being a beast, it also comes with electric seats, a mirror, surround sound from a Harman Kardon speaker system, a bird's eye camera, parking sensors, and a panoramic sunroof if the weather happens to be nice on the
that's
day
gonna kind of mess up the whole
of the day of reckoning.
Yeah, you're not gonna put that down.
No, but you can once you escape town and make it out to your ranch in Montana where it's safe. You'd be fine. You could enjoy the breeze and sunlight.
See, for me, yet again, I'm not a big car guy.
Yeah.
So this is sick, really cool, but just not for me.
It's $160,000. That's for just 3 times the price of your truck, you could have.
That's like 6 times the price.
850 horsepower and full-time 4-wheel drive.
Just in case I wanted to pull a house.
They say it's the only vehicle that could comfortably accommodate somebody who's 7 feet in the back row.
What?
Yeah.
Yet again, another unnecessary. This is so unnecessary. But yet again, if you had $160,000 to spend on a vehicle, you like unnecessary things.
It might not be your first car. Maybe it's something you just use on the side.
Tough to argue.
It's just in case. Just in case. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, just in case. You never know.
You could spend $160,000 on a luxury car, a Lamborghini or something. What good is that going to do you? Or you can spend it on this and be prepared.
The stories you love with the opinions you hate. The Riot Radio U.
You know how it is every time there's somebody who lives to be, I'd say about 100. Anybody who lives over 100, there's always people asking them, what's your secret to living so long?
How'd you do it?
How did you do it? What did you eat? What does your life look like to get you to 100 years old? I have a 108-year-old woman from the UK who has shared her secret to long life, and I think you're going to like it. Her secret to long life is twofold. 1, have dogs. She's
Got that down?
A proud owner of many greyhounds throughout her life. So she says that was part of her key to life. The other key to living to 108 years old, no children.
Also have that down.
Have dogs.
I'm on track for 106.
Don't have children, and you could make it to 108 years old like this woman whose name is Ada Daniel from the UK. The reason that she is in the news, besides sharing these secrets at her 108th birthday, this is the flip side, I guess, the stark contrast to having no children and living to 108 is when you have no children, you have no grandchildren. So she's 108 years old. She doesn't have a ton of people. She's living in a care home, doesn't have a ton of people left. So the care home put out a call to get people to send her cards. She got over 300, pretty impressive. And she looks pretty happy. And her key was having greyhounds and never having children. according to her.
What's wild, this is what's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So she has no children.
Mm-hmm.
She has no grandchildren.
Yeah.
And she's over 100 years old.
Uh-huh.
So everyone that was probably her friend
Yeah.
has for sure passed away.
You would think.
Like she's probably the only
unfortunately.
person. Because even if for people that were like 20 years younger than her, they're
Yeah.
like 88. Like so they're even up there in age as well.
Uh-huh.
And so for her, yeah, it's just her hanging around left.
Yeah. Hopefully she, clearly she found a few friends because she got over 300 birthday cards. So that's a positive. And again, she looks quite pleased, quite happy with herself there at 108 years old. She actually, she looks pretty healthy for a 108-year-old.
She's still cooking
as
along.
well, yeah. Who knows how long she can go. So that is impressive. I think this information should be taken with a grain of salt because I also saw some research today that says that some scientists believe the key to living over 100 years old is actually your gut bacteria. Something you have really no control over.
What's wild is
So it could be that.
we just don't know.
We
There's nothing
don't.
that really that goes it like there's nothing that like combines them all, you know?
No. We could trust the scientists and say it's your gut bacteria, or we could trust Ada and get some greyhounds and not have kids.
Ooh, that sounds tough.
Tough
Greyhounds?
call. Who to listen to?
They seem a little bit much for me.
Yeah.
I'll stick with my dog Jim for
Yeah,
now.
I think a greyhound would have too much energy for you to handle.
Yeah.
If podcast awards were ever a thing, this show wouldn't win any. This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
Isaiah, you're a single guy. You're a single working guy.
I am single and I am working.
You ever get worried about burnout?
Burnout from what? The working or the singleness?
From working. You ever get worried that you're going to get too mentally exhausted? It's going to just really cause havoc in your life.
See, I'm still so young into my working career that I haven't felt the total burnout yet, but I could see that happening at some point in my life. Like people that have been working for like 20 years at the same job, doing the same thing, going back to your same life every day. I could see burnout there. For me right now, there's a lot of different variables going on in my life of things that I'm doing that yet again, I'm not married. I have no girlfriend, so I can kind of do whatever I want after work. It's a grand thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm not too worried about the burnout.
You have a lot of friends that are in similar situations.
Same.
If you give it a couple more years, all of a sudden you might have a bunch of friends that are married. Some of them might even have kids. And they're not as, even though you are free after you get off work to go to wherever, there might not be people that are as excited to do it with you.
True.
Because they're busy
true.
with other life responsibilities.
They've grown up.
And therein lies where you could face, it's just everything becomes so routine. You start to feel mental exhaustion. You start to feel disconnected from your body, mind, and emotions and feel less fulfilled. It's a real thing. It's a real thing a lot of people experience. But I have an answer. According to the National Research University Higher School of Economics, they say the solution to work-related burnout, getting married.
Oh, no.
Particularly for for single men. So eventually, if you do find yourself, the moment you find yourself hitting a time where you think, I might be getting burned out, you got to find yourself a wife.
You need a wife.
Yeah. They say it applies.
Who wrote this?
It applies to women and men, but particularly it saw even more correlation for men with work-related burnout and not being married. And this is, who said this? The National Research University Higher School of Economics.
I don't know about all this jazz.
It is it does look like that's in Russia. So can we trust anything the Russians say?
Not at this point, right?
I don't know.
Right?
This isn't a good time for them.
See, I think I can see it. I see what they're talking about.
Yeah. Because yet again, you could come out like right now. Again, you're hot dogging. You can go out. You can have a good time.
I am hot dogging right now.
You can do whatever you want. But a few years down the line, if a bunch of your friends just become a little less available, it's going to be a little less fun to just leave work and then crash at home and watch
TV,
watch The Bachelor all alone instead of having a watch party.
You know, I could see it. I mean, obviously not right now.
Yeah.
But I can see it.
You don't want to go straight from
no
single to being married right away. You gotta give it some time. But
I'm still trying to live this up while I got it. Like, I got to live it up now.
Yeah.
Because if I asked a bunch of married men right now, they're like 50 years old. I'm like, would you want to go back to when you were like 24, hanging out with your friends and stuff like that? They would say, yes. Right?
Yeah.
They would have to. I mean, everybody would say.
Well, at that point, maybe
if I could go back to when I was like 18 years old, everybody wants to go back to when they were younger. And so I think if you're feeling burnt out, just don't get feeling burnt out too early. Let it be a slow burn, baby. If you're feeling burnt out like 24, 22 years old, that's way too quick. You got to slow burn it. You're working too hard. Chill a little bit. Have a little more fun. And then you can get married.
I do wonder, and I have no data on this, but I wonder if maybe men that are, maybe the men that are married that have been married for a long time have marriage burnout.
Oh.
Sounds like, I'm pretty sure that's a thing. Maybe they need to get a new job.
Yeah. You better.
Get married to their work.
Radio U's Worst of the Riot podcast.
Is this grounds for divorce? You've got a wedding, beautiful moment. The new happy couple, husband and wife, they say their vows or whatever in front of the church, walking down the aisle, just married. And what do you see in the groom's hand but his phone? And
checking his phone?
Checking his phone, walking down the aisle after you just said I do.
Tough look.
It's a rough one, isn't it?
That's like a terrible look.
What could he possibly be doing on there?
I can't even
Honestly.
imagine. Yet again, the day that you get married, that's like one of the most important days of your life. So what could possibly be so important that you wanted to check your phone?
Yeah.
Yet again, that is a wild, wild thing to do.
I was trying to think before watching the whole clip of just like trying to come up with a scenario in my mind of why it would be okay. And so the best thing I can come up with is, what if he's got, a close family member, let's say his mom. Maybe she's not able to make it to the wedding. She lives far, far away. She has some medical condition, something. She can't be there, but she can like FaceTime in or whatever. Well, first of all, he's not checking his phone in a way that, where it's clear, like, hey, mom, look, it
looks like he's scrolling Twitter. It looks like he's checking a text message.
That's first of all. Secondly, two, why would you be like, do you have to hold the phone in that scenario? There's pictures and video. It's your wedding. There's going to be all kinds of people.
You're walking down the aisle. Like they're leaving. They're walking down the aisle together as they just said, I do.
So think about how it's going to look in pictures if you're looking at your phone, even if it is somebody that, if there's a legitimate reason, just still the way you look, it's not good. And then finally, in the video, you see at the end, they exit out the front doors of the church, and the new bride kind of confronts him a little bit. And instead of being apologetic or explanatory, he just seems frustrated. All around no good.
I mean, as a man here, this is crazy action. This is a wild action. Like, she is going to be so mad at you. There's no way you get out of this, right? Ever.
I mean, I don't know. It'd be, yet again, is this in itself grounds for divorce? She just kind of ruined the wedding. Nobody's going to remember how beautiful she looked or how fun of a time it was. They're going to remember, what the heck was the groom doing on his phone?
Yeah, and like her whole family's there, like her whole family. Like, so people that you have like barely met, that are like her cousins and stuff, maybe uncles and aunts that don't get around that much, that live far away. And so they don't really know you that well. And then you're walking down the aisle with phone in hand. Like, for a lot of this, they're like, this dude seems like a jerk.
Yeah.
Total jerk move.
Peel your attention away to your brand new wife who put in more effort today to look amazing than any other day in the entire year. You can't look at her. You got to look at your phone.
He was allegedly texting someone.
You couldn't wait.
What would you possibly be saying?
The walk down the aisle was that long, and what you had to say was that important that you couldn't wait.
Just got married. If you're wondering. FYI.
Heads up.
Like, you literally took 10 steps after saying I do and immediately pulled out your phone. Like, yet again, 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes? We could make 5 minutes?
The worst thing is to think about, like, they were standing there hand in hand, the preacher's reading the vows or whatever it is, having to hold, and the whole time he's thinking, got to send that text.
I got to get a text out.
Rush this up. I got to send a text.
I got to get that text out.
Quickly.
I got to get it there.
Yeah.
Right when I say
I do. Whatever. I got a text to send.
Yes, that's wild.
Oh, hi there.
Worst of the Riot.
Crank that up.
Radio U.
some real interesting numbers here. This is actually surprising to me. How many people? Okay, let me start over. Can we cut?
Of course.
All right, here we go. What percentage of people do you think have a side hustle?
I think it's always more than people realize.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people that I know, a lot of them have a side hustle.
Yeah, it feels like it. I mean, maybe it's just our age range.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you what, though, a lot of times you see jobs that you would consider to typically probably be side hustles, and it's not our age range always working them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You see whether it's, fast food part-time or delivery stuff or whatever. It's like, well, that's probably not their full-time job, and they're getting on in years. I will tell you here, I actually have numbers to back this up, that 39% of American adults have a side hustle, according to a new survey from Bankrate.
That's pretty high.
That's almost half of adults.
Almost 1 in every 2 people.
Yeah, basically, if you think every household in that line of thinking could very likely have somebody doing a side hustle. But I think it's important to point out for many people with these side hustles, it's not side money that they're pulling in. Some people, like I've seen it on Reddit, they call it beer money. It's not just like
it's not
no. These are to supplement their full-time hustle income so that they have enough to live. Now there could be a couple thoughts for that, right? It could be that they're not getting paid enough at their full-time jobs, whatever they may be, to really live, or maybe enough people really suck with money.
A lot of people do.
They do need to have another job to be able to avoid that. But here's my hot take on that. I feel like 40% of people shouldn't. If we're all that bad at money, if enough of us are that bad at money, then I feel like
that's crazy.
You shouldn't have to be accounting whiz, a budgeting whiz, to be able to live on a normal job.
Yeah, I mean, a normal job typically is you're working 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
So if you're working more than 8 hours a day, I mean, that's a whole day. You're working 8 to 5. I mean, it's not, just so everybody knows, it's not 9 to 5 anymore.
Mm-mm.
Nobody works 9 to 5. You're working 8 to 5. That's just how it goes. Because, I mean, the lunch doesn't count.
Yeah.
They're getting you for a full 8 hours, and you have to get that hour lunch, too, that you never use the whole thing. And so they're getting you for about 8.5. And if you're working after that, like you're getting up at 5 o'clock and you're working after that, that's wild. I know that not everybody who does a side hustle, like, needs that money.
No, but I'd say...
But a lot of people do.
A lot of people would give it up if they didn't need it.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's one of those things too with all like the inflation stuff going on. I mean, some people are just having to work a little bit more, which sucks.
Yeah.
It really does.
I feel bad. I don't have a side hustle per se, although my wife works her own job from home and I get roped into that a lot. So I kind of consider that a side hustle for me.
Yeah.
I guess I wouldn't be doing it necessarily if she had a different job.
If she wasn't doing it?
Yeah. But nevertheless, it doesn't feel great to have to work that much. Some people say, oh, it builds character, or, just got to do what you got to do. I don't know about that. I think it's asking a lot of people.
But I'd also say that if you want to make a lot of money and your actual job doesn't, the best way to do it is a side hustle. And then your side hustle turns into your real hustle.
Yeah.
That's your real job.
If you've got the time for it, it's fun to have some fun money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like that's not what it normally is for people.
It's not usually, unfortunately, for most people.
Well, that's the reality. 40% of people, pretty much.
It's not just you, though.
Side hustling. Yeah,
you're not the only one.
You're not alone.
Wasn't that a great Riot clip? While you're here, you should watch more of our videos and subscribe so you don't miss what we do next.